Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such trouble. He's left on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Moving on to the back end of Phil Jocelyn. So there's been a lot of movers and shakers in this first 2 laps here for race.
Absolutely serious racing league. Everybody's a lot of fun. Yeah. It's all about the entertainment, so I hope everybody is enjoying themselves out there in the chat. We know that Ron is been enjoying himself watching. The Burger King machine's off into the grass a little bit there. Is that really bunching up now?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We are back with the NASCAR Super Series Trucks Round 5 from Las Vegas, sponsored by iLoungeRacing.co.uk. Go check them out. It is the Vegas Shuffle. It is myself, James Parfitt, and Zach Sweeney on the comms to bring you what plans to be an absolute epic race. It's going to be very, very interesting. Sit back, hold on to your hats. We've got 70 laps of action, stage break at 20, stage break at 40. And then the straight run straight through the end. And the schedule itself, you can see we're here at Vegas. And then we go on to Bristol Dirt with Indianapolis Motor Speedway, USA International Motor Speedway, Michigan International Speedway, Martinsville Speedway, and then Watkins Glen with Talladega being down on the 1st of October. Then on the 15th, it will be Phoenix Raceway. Now, there are talks about that running consecutively weekly, so we will keep you posted on that one. But at the moment, they're running every 2 weeks. So we start next week at Bristol Dirt with 150 laps on the dirt circuit of Bristol. We're not going to bring you up the points, guys, partly due to the fact they will give you away of who has won. This was run last week, of course, and now we are doing the replay file here for you this evening. The only problem is it does not give us the ability to show replays. I do not know who won. I don't know if Zach knows who won, depending if he's done any research, whether or not he knows who the winner is, but we are sitting here completely blind, going to enjoy this one. Mr. Sweeney, welcome in, dear sir. How are you?
I'm good. I can't believe you've just sort of underhandedly thrown me under the bus as if to imply I don't do research for commentary. That's absolutely outrageous. I don't. I'm joking. I have done my best to avoid looking at the results. I saw Vegas results and then just completely threw away, scrolled off as quickly as I could as to avoid it, because I want this to be nice, fresh, authentic, as if it was a real broadcast. There's no point us going into this being like, "Ooh, let's see, let's try and see who's going to win," when we know ourselves. We want to have it alongside the viewers as well, but should be a good one.
It should be. There is the grid there. Gary Sack the third is on pole with John Grosso in second, Dan Michelle in third, Carl Jacklett fourth, Levi Walls in fifth, Danny Kazar in sixth, Jamie McIntosh in seventh, Ewan Stitchbury in eighth, Pat Seaboard in ninth, and Howie Burrows in 10th place. If you wish to get yourselves involved, guys, you can here as well. There are 40 odd cars, 40 odd trucks registered for this series. Obviously, with the holidays, numbers have been going up and down like an elevator in a busy hotel. So they can have 20, 25, 30 this week. We've got 10 cars battling it out, so let's see how these guys get on here as well. But it's going to be very, very interesting. Now, we did do a little bit of research earlier on. We did find out it's practically a full flat circuit in the trucks here, Zach. What are they going to have to look out for, do you think, of going into a full flat oval circuit? Because it's pack racing, draft heavy. What do you think is going to happen?
Each other is what they're going to have to look out for, right? I mean, that's really the big fear when it comes to NASCAR, right? That's something that I've always struggled with. You are running at 180 mile an hour, side by side, with small margins for error for 70 laps, lap after lap. One small mistake, and at that speed, these cars, they're not designed to stop. They're not designed to change direction. They're designed to do one thing, and that's go really fast and turn left occasionally. They are not good at anything else. So to avoid incidents, to sort of preempt incidents and things like that is such a vital skill, but also just to limit the mistakes in of itself in the first place, because it's so difficult to come back after you've had a big off.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't forget we have got stage points in on the board there as well. 10 points all the way down to the 1, so they should technically all score points. As I do some quick maths, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. They will all score stage points. It would just be the amount that they score going in as well. I think it's going to be very, very interesting. Tim Perry was leading the championship before this round, I believe. He's not here at the moment. He missed this one. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, hold on to your hats as these trucks take to the start. The green flag is going to be out very, very shortly. They're going to be up and running. It is green there as well. You can see John Grosso from TMJ out in front at the moment. Gary Sack behind. Dan Michelle behind that with Levi Walls and Danny Kazar. They're fairly spread out from the backpack all the way across the side of the circuit. Too wide at the moment. They can run too wide here, Zach, but they're going to have to be very, very careful in the process.
Yeah, like I was saying on the formation app, you have got to be so careful. But as you can see, the top 3 are single file. Then in behind that, Kazar and Walls running themselves side by side. Little bit of hesitancy from the outside, of course, of the 21 of Kazar, who does run himself wide. It's all about momentum, maintaining that top speed. It's caused a lot of carnage. They're going to go 3, nearly 4 wide in that fight for 4th place. Meanwhile, the top 3 are allowing themselves to get away.
Yeah, you see Grosso, Michelle, Sack and Stitchbury all in the top 4 at the moment. They're fighting it out. Kazar, Jacqueline and Levi Walls all there as well. Pat Seaborn, Jamie McIntosh, Howie Burrows having a good old little ding-dong towards the back end of the field. They will need to pick up on the draft. They will need to stay within the car in front, because if they don't, they're going to be in trouble. It's pack racing on a very fast circuit here. You lose the draft, you're going to be a lap down before you know it.
Yeah, exactly. It is as easy as that, simple as that. And when you've got cars as well further in front that are going to work together, they're only going to help each other. I always compare oval racing to that of cycling, right, in the Olympics, where they're tucked up, they're working in that pack and using that slipstream to assist each other and get away. You want as little cars in the equation as possible, because the bigger the pack, the bigger the risk. And using the apron actually from the 89, that's a little bit controversial. Side by side for the lead, and they are going to be jostling for position. They don't want to do this too much, though, as to lose time relative to those behind.
Yeah, they want to try and stay in contact with each other here. They've got to make sure that they do keep going and lining up there, and they certainly do not want to lose the situation that's happening in front of them, because if they do that, they are going to be in trouble. You can see on board with Gary Sack, he's got Dan Michelle in front, Michelle and Grosso battling it out side by side. There's not a massive gap between the field at the moment. Pat Seaborn losing about a second to the cars in front here. He could really do with Jamie McIntosh and Howie Burrows sitting in behind each other. Oddly enough, 3 cars goes faster than the 1, so they kind of should really be locking up to each other, shouldn't they?
Well, yeah, I mean, again, why are you battling this early on when you can see a train of cars right in front of you that are jostling for position? Work together, close that gap, and try and get with them, of course. But at the moment, they're going for battle. Seaborn versus McIntosh through, of course, turn number 1 before you get yourself towards that back straight. It's the 78 that takes to the outer line. It allows them to keep that momentum pinned, and the side draft as well working quite nicely. Of course, because they've got no slipstream in front, because they're so far off the back of everyone else, they are going to be equal pegging. But this is the last thing they want. Of course, there's stage points and things to bunch them back up again, but you want to be in the shout for as many points as possible for the longest portion of this race.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got to get in behind each other. The Seaborn on the outside there is not really helping out. Burrows now needs to drop in behind Seaborn and push his way forward. They need to line up. Bump draft where you can. You bump going in just literally, you can get him just about 20 meters before going into the corner. Leave him alone in the corner. Bump him once going in through the try. Leave him alone again and going around the start-finish line. Bump him again just going into the corner. Leave him alone going in there. You know, you've got to think about what you're going to do. Accelerate halfway through the corner. Bump him just as come on your exit. So you can get like at least 4 bumps on the trucks in front. But you've got to make sure you are not hitting them going into corner entry. If you do that, well, it could be game over for the truck in front of you.
Yeah, exactly. You've got to be so careful. Bump drafting is so effective, but if you hit them sort of not entirely dead on, right, you need to hit them nice and centrally on that rear bumper. You hit them slightly to the right, slightly to the left, it's going to end badly. right? There's no two ways about it. You might be lucky to get away with it as a huge snap of oversteer there, goodness me, as they run their way through turns 1 into, of course, this back straight towards turn 2, of course, the tri-oval here at Vegas. The 21, of course, on the inside of the 3. That's Danny Cassar versus Carl Jacklett. It was Jacklett in that yellow and black machine that, of course, got a little bit sideways, but was able to hang on to it. They are trying to give each other sort of the racing room and work together nicely. But it's not doing themselves any favour, because the draft, and we cannot emphasise it enough, is so vitally important that if you get hung up battling, not only are you going to lose that draft, you're also going to carry more and more risk fighting for position, because right now, it's meaningless. You're just going to overtake each other the next lap anyway.
Yeah, you are right. Stitchbury there got a big old wiggle on in front of Sack. He literally was trying to come up behind him and bump him and just couldn't get onto the back square enough. Stitchbury got all a little bit of a wiggle. You see, using that underline of the apron again. A very controversial decision is allowed, but you know, let's be honest, can you demand the space coming back on? That's going to be the question. But you've got to see here with Sack, he's trying to get right up behind Stitchbury. He needs Stitchbury to keep it straight, and Sack has to run in behind him. He's got to make sure he can settle in behind him and hit him square on the bumper. Either side, and you're going to spin the car out. But I think they're coming up to that stage situation now. You know, we're on lap 12 already, believe it or not. It's been absolutely rapid here. No cautions right at the beginning as well, which is great to see. One of the things I'm not looking forward to is the fact that Howie Burrows is dropping back a little bit. Got to try and stay with Seaborn a little bit more. Yeah,
he does. Of course, he's going to be just staying in the slipstream. Again, that's all you need to do. You've got a train that spans all the way up to P6 of Jacklett. As a group, bump, 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 bump. Just use each other, right? That's fine. It's short-term loss to long-term gain, right? Because if you fight now, it's going to be short-term gain because you're going to get track position. That's great. But then you're just going to lose sort of that longevity. You're going to burn more of your tires, maybe use a bit more fuel. You're also then going to carry more risk. And then also, you're going to lose time just to then jostle for position a lap later anyway. So it's constantly going to be swapping and changing, as opposed to just sucking it up, taking a hit, working to then catch the pack ahead to maybe try and get more points by the time you reach the stage. Thankfully for packs like this, the race gets broken up and you definitely have got cautions to bring them back into contention. But if this is the way the race is going to go, come sort of lap 55, 60, when we are towards the more important stage of the race, they're going to be nowhere because they're going to be focused too much on battling for 6th.
You might as well take all 4 tyres. I think that's going to be the thing. Take all 4 tyres. You're not going to have that problem then. You can just get them swapped over, get them done. Danny Cassar, Jamie McIntosh, they're on the same team, are going to be looking at trying to work together. This back group have made their way forward into Cassar and Jacklett. You can see McIntosh sitting right in behind Cassar. Teamwork at the best here, Zach. I think if these guys can stay close together as they are, there's no reason they can't work themselves up into that top 5.
Absolutely not. You know, everyone's got the pace, but what the top 5 are doing, they're doing everything they need to. You know, have we really seen them fight? Not really. They've been line astern, single file, because at this stage, it doesn't really matter. They're going to settle themselves into 2 rows of 2, which is typical NASCAR stuff. Contact to the background, and there's the 3. Jacklett goes off, able to keep the truck pointing the right way. Thankfully rejoins the circuit, but that's what happens. There was no need for that. Completely unnecessary risk.
Absolutely, I do fully agree, and he's lucky enough that although he's lost time, there is only 3 laps till the first stage here. McIntosh now with Burrows behind. Cassar's all got escaped up the road a little bit. Grosso still leading the way with Dan Michel tucked in. Stitchbury's in there, last season's champion, of course, rocking the 01 car, going down on that apron again, looking at running that inside line. Michel's on the outside. Dan Michel in that 25 truck on the outside line at the moment. He's going to be trying to use Grosso. He got a wicked slingshot coming out of 2 there. Overtook Stitchbury like he was standing still and then settles back in behind Grosso again. He's kind of doing everything he needs to, is Dan Michel.
Yeah, I mean, right now, right, he could fight Grosso for P1 for the stage. What's that going to gain him? 1 point? What could that lose him? 10, right? Because best case scenario, he spins and he rejoins the pack, P10, stage cuts, and he rejoins the pack, right? Or he completely totals the track and has to wait until after the stage to be back out on circuit fighting with everyone. So again, it's that risk versus reward. The gain is 1 point, the loss could be potentially a lot more than that. And when you're trying to fight for a championship, fight for wins later on in the season, that's what you've got to start thinking about. Not the short-term gain, but the long-term gain. On lap 19 of 70, though, we are towards the back end of this stage, and it will neutralise itself, pile themselves back up again, and hopefully we're going to have a nice, easier transition to the next 20 laps.
Yep, straight at the end of lap 20 it will be here. So it should be your stage winner, John Grosso, unless Dan Michel looks at trying to make that move, and he has done that there as well. Oh, he got all a little bit loose, but it looks like Grosso's going to take the first stage here. On lap 20, at the end of lap 20, John Grosso will take the stage win. Great job from him. And I can tell you what, Dan Michel was pushing theirs up, but got that truck all squirrely going into turn 3.
Yeah, that got very, very loosey-goosey indeed, it must be said. Tried to go for that last-ditch effort, but in the end wasn't quite enough. Thankfully, it was probably the best-case scenario, which was he only lost 1 place to Stitchbury, takes P3. With that, of course, we'll take 8 points for the stage, and that's not bad going. He's only losing 2 to the stage winner, and still gives him a good leg up for the rest of this race. He's just got to be careful avoiding that, and of course he's going to learn from that. He'll see that mistake, he'll learn from it, he'll adjust, and he knows next time he tries to go for a move, he won't do exactly what he did just there, which was slam the throttle, try and rotate the car too much too soon, and hope that he's able to continue on. But they are making their way into pit lane.
Yeah, all 10 should come in. How is in YouTube? I've never heard a bump drafted at Vegas in my life. The draft here is really bad. The straight barely exists. It's a real tyre wear race. I don't know if I agree with that, Howie. I've got to be honest. You've got us straight away coming out of turn 2 down into 3. I did run through the bumping areas earlier on. I got a funny feeling Stitchbury has just had to reverse into his pit box there because he's just missed it. I did explain the bumping areas earlier on, and I think you've got probably 3, maybe even 4 opportunities to be able to get a nice little bump in on podium people. Grosso comes out, Michel comes out in 2nd, Sack in 3rd, Stitchbury comes out in 4th, Walls behind that 5th, Burrows out, McIntosh, Seaborn, Jacqueline and Kazar is the last one leaving the pits. I don't know if I agree with that, Howie. I've got to be honest. I think you've got more of an opportunity than is being looked at. I think if you've got a great slingshot exit out of 2, you can hear him going as soon as you hit the straight of run down into 3, hit him again coming down into 3 as well, back away 5, 10, 15 metres before, let him run round, get a great shot out of 3 and 4, hit him on the try, hit him going into 1. I think there's more opportunities there, Howie, than what's been letting on. I think they could bump Zach a lot more than probably people are aware of.
See, obviously, I don't race NASCAR, right? I don't know too much about it. I've only done a couple of broadcasts on it. My argument would be, how else are you going to make up time then? Because the rest of the track is flat out. Mm-hmm. So where's the difference going to be made? How is it that the top 3 are able to get away while you guys who are scrapping and not sort of bump drafting or slipstreaming off each other, why are you then dropping 3-4 seconds back off the pack? Would it not make more sense to do exactly what the top 3 are doing? I understand longevity tyre wear, absolutely, especially those outside sets. They are taking a huge punishment relative to your inside tyres, and that is a factor, because the moment you start sliding, that's then when you have issues. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to pure sort of, say, towards the end of the race, that final 10 laps where everyone's tyres, whatever, and just say it's null and void, the difference is going to be made by who's in the slipstream and who's off the back of it, because how else are you going to gain time?
Yeah, I do fully agree. We are under the first caution here. This is the first stage. We are then going to get up and running. The pace car truck lights are off. A truck, obviously. truck. You know what I mean? Come on, let's be real. So we will get this back up and running. Next stage break at lap 40, and then it's a straight run to the end of the race. So let's see how these guys get on once more. Round the try they go. The truck's going to be peeling in very, very shortly, and we'll be up and running once again here. So let's see. Pace car lights are on. And they're here, the pace car's into the pit, sorry. And now we're going to be going green, green, green. A massive jump for Burrows on that outside line. Now he's going to be taking it free wide, going into one. Oh! McIntosh goes round. McIntosh goes round there. There was contact. I'm wondering if it was with Danny Kazar, because he's gone round as well. And now we have caution number 2 here.
Well, you know what they say, safety cars breed safety cars, and that is the perfect epitome of it. When you've got 10 drivers bunched up like that, it's only really going to go wrong. Continuing that discussion then, by the way, while it's all under caution, Howie comes in and says, in regards to the weather conditions being really hot, so the run is determined obviously by how much you use the tyres, how much you turn the steering wheel, how much you lift off versus how much speed you're able to carry, and then to the top drivers, say Michael, Grosso, Burrows, are all able to maybe do that a little bit better. And in fairness, fair enough. Like, I think that's definitely understandable and completely, a reasonable reason. And yeah, fair enough. Because obviously in qualifying, you don't really care about the tyres. You can go flat out. In the race, you are a little bit more worried about the tyre wear. Like I say, the outside tyres in particular, sliding around, and it takes a lot longer to change tyres versus it would in other categories. So again, you are trying to make them last as much as you possibly can as to limit that time loss when you come into the pit lane. So I suppose that's understandable, and once again plays into the fact that he definitely knows a little bit better than I do when it comes to obviously the dynamic of these races. And because again it is a shorter circuit, you go to say Daytona and it'll be a different scenario entirely, because there's more longer straights, more opportunity for that slipstream to work. As opposed to Vegas, it's tight. It's there is a little bit more of a turning angle. The corner is a little bit sharper, so you may have to use a bit more of the tire to rotate the truck. So yeah, I can sort of see it from that perspective. I think it is definitely a combination of both maximizing the pack and the slipstream, and then also trying to keep the tires alive for as long as possible, I suppose, and hope that by the time you get to the end of the race, which is what really matters, because you don't need to lead any lap apart from lap 20, lap 40, and lap 70. If you can do that, happy days.
I've got a question that, which shouldn't really be a surprise, to be honest. But if you are lifting and you're in the draft going into the corner, you therefore are not using tyres to the degree that you would be if you're going full flat constantly, right? As you know, the person in the front works the hardest, right? Always the same. Same in the peloton, in the Tour de France, things like that. The person in the front works the hardest. Dan Michel, for instance, is leading the way. So he goes into a corner and you've got Grosso tucked up right behind him. Now, Grosso's going to be able to lift because he's got the draft as a massive overspeed. So he'll be able to lift going into the corner and still maintain speed behind Dan Michel. So although, yes, wear might be an issue, I can guarantee that if you looked at the tyre wear count after each stop, I wouldn't think it would be much below 95%. In fact, I can probably guarantee it wouldn't be much below 95%. The outside rights will be worse than the insides. I think the insides are probably up on 98, 95 for the outsides. I don't think it's going to be any worse than that. I think it's really what you're trying to maintain is, if you're trying to save tyres, run that high outside line. You know, minimum, use the banking that you have got to be able to make that happen. And I think, you know, that's my opinion on it. Although I'd be surprised if Howie, you know, you're in the race, tell us what your tyre wear was after each stage pit stop, because I don't think it was that horrendous.
See, my argument to that is, why would you use the outside to save tyres? Because all that's going to do is put you offline, give you less grip, which means you're going to have to use more of the tyres to be gripped. And then they've also got a longer distance to travel, therefore putting them under more load for longer.
Because I'm going to interject now before you carry on, because the way it works on the outside line is you'll carry more speed, your steering angle will be lower. Here we go, let's get this up and running, and we'll carry on this conversation now from 27. Lap 27, Dan Michel leads the way, over the line he goes, and you can see they're already 3 wide further back. That's McIntosh on the outside. You can see Kazar in the mix with Seaborn there. Jacqueline drops back a little bit. McIntosh and Kazar underneath each other, back into that 2 wide situation. Sachs on there, tucked up behind Burrows. You got Stitchbury trying to run the outside line. The outside line less turning because you're not scrubbing the tyres to try and maintain that turning circle. You're carrying more speed as well, as you've just seen from Stitchbury. He was in the middle of the track. He carried more speed than Burrows and Walls on the bottom, and was able to carry more speed, and that's why the outside line works to a degree. As you can see here, 2 guys scrubbing more speed because they've got to turn more, because obviously the inside's tighter, where that outside line you can run, and as we're going 3 wide currently at the moment.
Yeah, look at that. The 89, of course, of Gary Sack III getting bumped by the 21 of Danny Cassar, and that's allowed him to have a look to the inside of the 69 machine. Of course, that's Levy Walls, who's he's running with as they approach the triangle to start another lap. Lap 30 of 70 already in the books, and that bump drafting has allowed that inside line to start to form. They do still run 2 abreast, and I don't really think either one of them want to be the one to back out. They just want to be the ones that benefit off the slipstream of Stitchbury, Grosso, and of course Mikel ahead. But we're very quickly approaching ourselves towards lap 35 already. This race really does chip along quite nicely.
Yeah, I think the fact that if you bring up how fast they're going, you know, they're nearly topping out at 180 plus miles an hour. There's the 69 of Walls behind. Walls running the higher line, going into the corner entry at 180. So they're not scrubbing loads of speed off here, and he's still managing to hold the outside. I think you have a look there he is, the 69 machine of Levi Walls, running that outside line quite happily, obviously carrying more speed. So there we go. Right, tyres were around 85 to 90 at the end of the stints. Is that I'm guessing that's the rights, that can't be the left, who balanced the front. Yeah, right tyres there as well, 85 to 90. People that use more rather than really rear suffered badly, and then out the people who balanced it well, those who used more of the tyres in general had more pace, as these were short runs. I was good at the end of runs at catching up to people who burn tyres more, but very bad at the start of runs. Got eaten by the good starters. I balanced a lot of coaching I got towards longer runs. Well, that's always the thing, isn't it? You know, if obviously we were there, I know there was an issue with the setup of the session, and we were doing the initial calendar run, which obviously should top out at about 134 laps. You probably would have got them longer runs in. But here, to be honest, I would probably look at trying to go as quick as possible towards the front as much as possible, and stay into the cars in front of me, because I want them to pull me forward. I want them to maintain my speed. And you'll be able to see it from what Gary Sachs topping out as he's going 180, where Walls is just hitting 180, Sachs entering the corner 3 miles an hour quicker. So the draft is playing an effect. You know, 3 miles an hour is not a massive amount, but it is when you're racing around on the race circuit.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference. Even 1 mile an hour would make a noticeable difference relative to those around you. It's those small marginal gains that allow you to go and win. And if you can get that for a bump draft or a bit of a slipstream or whatever it is, then that is going to be vital for your success later on in the race. We're already on lap 35 of 70, so half distance has been crossed. Still got 1 stage at least. So, well, we've got 1 stage. What I mean by that is we've at least got 1 more caution before the end of the race, and hopefully they're going to keep it clean. There's going to be a change here at, of course, fighting for P2, Grosso versus Stitchbury. The number 1 looks on the inside, but that door gets firmly shut as he tried to move his way up in the 2nd place in this train and couldn't do so. Interesting that they're using the apron on the inside.
I think the thing with that is that it's really hard with the apron. As much as you don't want them to use it, it's there as it is in general, and I think these guys will utilise every single part of the race circuit that they've got. If that means utilising the apron, they will utilise the apron. One of the things that has been said though is obviously if you're down on the apron and there's a car alongside you, technically not entitled to space because you're off the racetrack. It's your prerogative, your responsibility, that was the word I was looking for, to get back up onto the track cleanly without causing any dramas. So it is a bit of a contentious issue, but I think at the end of the day these guys are all sensible. McIntosh, Kazar running side by side here, the two teammates rocking it out and kicking down in 6th and 7th. Burrows down behind that in 8th. Seaborn and Jacqueline at that moment, of course, that where he ended up on the grass.
Yeah, that was a scary moment. And could have ended quite badly, but he's able to pick himself back up, and of course running P10 at the moment, but still opportunity to move forward, does Carl Jacqueline, and still a lot of race left to run. And that's the thing, I mean, generally when it comes to motor racing, we love the uncertainty, we love the unpredictability. We don't want to go into it knowing who's going to win, because that would make it very, very boring indeed. And more so when it comes to over racing and truck racing, because you really do not know at all. There is people fighting side by side. The 53 of Grosso swapping places with Stitchbury as they're trying to stay in touch, of course, with Daniel McKell leading as we head towards lap 40, and of course the end of the second stage. Yeah, we'll be at the end of lap 40 as well. It's not at the beginning, it is at the end of the lap that we will have that stage break. You see Stitchbury now inside the truck, working as hard as he possibly can. Doesn't need to oversteer correct too much. You've got to make sure your inputs are nice and light. Don't do anything dramatic. They're fighting out for stage points here. On to this final stage point run. Grosso's trying to get run the outside. He's going to get a wicked slingshot. He's going to utilise the side draft as much as possible, and Mr. Stitchbury has Grosso just snapped this second place away. He's going up high again. Stitchbury's got no choice but to run low. Grosso's going to look at getting a run again. Stitchbury comes up, covers off his nose there, and Damichel takes it once more. Stitchbury gets the second place. Grosso gets third. Walls gets fourth, with Gary Sack in fifth, and McIntosh, Kazal, Seaborn, Burrows and Jacqueline for the end of stage 2. But Dan Michel picking himself up. Nice little haul of points at the moment. 10 in this one, 8 in the first one. There's Zach. That's 18 points, and we're not even at the end of the race. Yeah, exactly. That is a healthy chunk to have. Obviously, it's a long season. Started back in April. It will continue all the way up until October. So there's still a good couple of months left of it. Still a good few rounds to go. And again, points here or there do count. I mean, obviously the main focus is winning the race entirely, because that's where the big points are scored. But those little bits help. You know, you should put 10 points here, 10 points there. If you can sort of just give yourself that little extra push to win the stage or get an extra place before the stage ends, you're going to be so grateful later on in the season when those points come back to fruition. All 10 once again come into the pit lane. I think there was a small bit of hesitation from Matt, but in the end decided to come in. So everyone into the pits, they'll refuel, they'll go again, and hopefully it's going to be a nice clean 30-lap sprint to the end.
Yeah, don't forget they do get 40 points for the win, 35 for second, 34, and then obviously downwards from that one. So these drivers are going to score a nice little chunk of points as the race on pit road. Here you can see taking place in front of you. Who's going to be able to get it? Is it going to be Sack? Is it going to be Grosso, Michel, or Carl Jacqueline? It is going to be Dan Michel. Gets a jump right at the beginning, leads off pit road. Grosso second, Stitchbury in third. Walls behind that one as well. So we've almost got a change of position between Grosso and Stitchbury there off pit road. Grosso's taken that second place. Stitchbury now down in third after crossing the line in second on the stage break.
Yeah, exactly. So hopefully Josh Grosso has run a really good race thus far. Right, it's been really good to see. Obviously maintain the pace nicely at the front with himself, Stitchbury, Daniel McKell as well. So all of them are going to be taking some healthy points thanks to the stage, and all of them I could back for winning this race. Again, right now, you know, lap 34, lap 35, there's no difference, right? It's just the same lap with a different number. It's got the same meaning because, again, you're going to be bunched up because of the caution. You're going to get ahead and then think, oh, hang on, the driver behind is now going to go for a move, and you're going to constantly shuffle for position, and it's not going to get you anywhere. When you get to lap 68, 69, 70, and you think, oh wow, track position really does matter because I need to cross that checkered flag first to get those points. I then need to be the one at the forefront. I need to be the one fighting. that's when things get dicey. That's when drivers get a little bit aggressive. That's when big crashes can happen if you're not careful. So expect that. Expect them to be nice and tame and sort of just, oh, you want to go? Yeah, you go into P2, mate. Yeah, that's no problem. Give it 20 laps. Let's see how they do in that regard then.
Yeah, exactly, and I think you've got to be in that position. You know, they haven't got many laps. They've only got 27. They're knocking them off at literally 30 seconds, if that, at a time. So it's going to be now getting these last 27. You're going to shuffle yourself into position, and you're going to make sure that you are going to be there at the end. You cannot afford to lose the draft. The sack is down at the end. He has to work with Jacklett. He's got to work with Seaborn, Burrows, McIntosh, Kazar. If the two teammates can stop fighting, I'm sure they'll be able to work together to go forward. But now, the final stage, the straight run to the end of the race. 27 laps remaining. Pace Truck's going to pull into the left-hand side. Does that weird left dive. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the final stage is going to be into the Geico restart zone. They go, and we are green, green, green. Dan Michelle takes the whole shot once more. Grosso's in there. Stitchbury's on the inside. Burrows again got an absolute rocket start right off the bat. But it just can't seem to be maintained a few laps later. You know, this is not the first time we've seen him get an absolute flyer off the start.
Yeah, again, it's you want a quick start, then you want to settle into the groove. I mean, usually, say with most things actually, you want to get a good start and then try to maintain that pace for as long as possible. Some people go out too quick and then immediately have to drop off, but maybe it's just a sign of caution. Maybe it's just a case of not wanting to throw it away by risking it at the front, or just take a step back and chill. And sort of try and slowly progress through this race, because again, there's no point involving yourself in that lead fight on lap 45 of 70 when there's still 25 to go. So again, carrying that risk, you have just got to be so careful. That's not going to stop Levi Walls to the inside of the 23. That's Jamie McIntosh, who sent wide, a slight tap, and that is the 23 firmly out of contention.
Yeah, he managed to hold it. Or did he manage to hold it? He's going to go into the pit lane. Oh, no. I'm surprised he didn't go into pit road, to be honest. It looks like there wasn't a caution thrown for that one. And we're into the final 25. Dan Michelle still out in front. Grosso still in second. Stitchbury in there. Kazar and Walls as well. Burrows trying to make moves out the back end with Sack and also Seaborn. So Burrows having a good old go, trying to go up the inside. Seaborn's got that line. It's now just settling behind him. Give him a little bit of a push if you can. Stitchbury's down on the apron again. Not really benefiting. The apron, although it's there, you know, is it doing a bigger difference than it is keeping it above the white line?
I don't know. Maybe it's one of those placebos where it's like, oh, if I cut on the apron, I'll gain some time. I don't know. Maybe there is no advantage to it. It seems to be fairly equal. You know, staying off the apron, staying on the oval, compared to overall lap time. Maybe we'll probably see a couple of people try and do it on that run to the line just to get the shorter distance and cross the flag first. But right now, it doesn't seem there's a huge difference in terms of what it does for your lap time. I mean, again, it's driver dependent. I think if it was quicker, you'd see everyone doing it.
Yeah, I think you are right. Burrows comes up, just takes literally in the nose of Jacklett there as well. Michelle, Stitchbury, Grosso, Kazar's been pushed along by Walls in that 69 Toyota Tundra behind, pushing him along here. And Danny Kazar getting a nice little help, moving his way forward into Grosso, into Stitchbury. The gap is closing. It's going to be a 5, maybe 6 car battle for the end of the race. We've got 22 to go. McIntosh is in the pits. He's come back out the other side as Jamie McIntosh. Dan Michelle still leading the way here, Zach. 22 on the cards. Is this the itchy finger? Is this the twitchy foot section that you start getting into the race?
No, I don't think so. I think there's still too long left. Because again, I mean, probably maybe 5 laps left to go. Gives you a couple laps to swap positions, settle in, and sort of really then sort of hammer in some laps to get track position. With 22 to go, you're still worrying about your tyres. You're still trying to conserve some fuel, lift off, stay in the slipstream, work together. I don't think anyone's going to be particularly eager to jump the gun and try and go for some aggressive moves. If an opportunity arises, that's great. I think at the front, it's going to be fairly tame. You get to down maybe 4, 5, 6, 7. That's then when people start thinking, hang on, I need to make some progress forward, because if I don't, very quickly it's going to be 10 to go, 5 to go, 3 to go, and I'm still here in P6. They don't want that. They want to, at the very least, be within the top 4 to have a good final push should anything go wrong amongst the top 3.
Yeah, I fully agree. You've got to be up there. You have to be up when you start getting to that lower end. You've got to start making your way forward within that last 20. Start settling in, seeing what you need to do, making sure you're holding your line, making sure you're keeping position. Stitchbury comes away from the apron this time after the lap where he didn't go down there last time. He's tucked in behind Dan Michel in that 25 Chevrolet in the front of the Tundra of your Stitchbury, with Grosso behind in the Ford. Then Danny Kazar, Levi Walls, Zach Seaborn, Burrows and Carl Jacklett at the back end. These three need to link up, go in a line and try and make your way forward. It does seem weird when we say 3 goes quicker than 1, but I promise you, when you're full pack racing, going as fast as possible, it definitely works. But you can see now that we've got literally the front 6 not too far off each other, 1.6 seconds between first and 6th here. Any one of these with 18 to go can still take this victory.
100%. Yeah, because you have to think, anything can go wrong for anyone, and also anything can go right for anyone. All of them have the opportunity to push the button, close the gap, get involved, and then also those particularly sort of 3, 4, 5, 6 all have the opportunity, should something go wrong in the front, to then benefit from that themselves. And as long as they keep their nose clean, they're probably going to be looking fairly decent for a good position. Laps are ticking down though, thick and fast. We're already into that final stage of the race, already into that final sprint of the race, and it's scary how quick that can happen. You can see the bit of tapping at the front between Stitchbury and Mikel, because they want to try and make their way as far away as possible from those behind.
Yeah, this is what we were talking about. You know, both of these drivers are not stupid. Dan Michel I've known for well over a year now. I've seen him drive in cup cars. He is not stupid at all. He knows what he's doing. Ewan Stitchbury, last season's champion, knows what he's doing. This is the point now where you'll see Stitchbury close right up as much as he can with Dan Michel. Try and get a bump on him if he can. Not going into 3 this time around. He's got to be a little bit closer. He's going to settle in coming out of 3, go after him again coming through 4. You sort of kind of, if you do have to lift, you kind of lift on the entry and kind of go back to full pace mid-corner to carry as much speed out as possible so you can get near the driver in front. You can see the banking's rising up as well. They can utilise the banking as much as they possibly can. And at the moment, it just looks like, to be honest with you, Zach, Dan Michel just looks like he's got the pace that he can pull away from Stitchbury here.
Yeah, it seems so. Obviously, we were talking about it with Harry Burrows earlier when it came to just rolling the car through, taking that lift, maximising your speed while also, tap to the wall there from Stitchbury, able to get away with it, of course. It's just a side-on slight little touch. Yeah, when it comes to sort of rolling the car in, minimising that steering angle, but keeping that minimum speed up, seems that, of course, Mikel is able to do that in the best way possible, maximising that speed while also trying to take as little out of the tyres as possible. Further back, though, of course, Danny Kazar versus Levi Walls. That's the battle. That's how close the Chevy is getting to the Toyota in front. Very, very marginal stuff. I mean, this might look like they're just turning left occasionally and trying to keep their foot planted, and I can understand that, but it's far from it. There is so much more that goes into a truck race.
There is, and I think Europeans are very, very blasé about NASCAR racing. You know, just turn left. That's all you got to do. All right, but take the truck at Martinsville and tell me that you haven't got to make sure you hit a braking point. Tell me that you're not going to make sure that you haven't got somebody trying to muscle your way on the inside and give you a shove on the outside line. There's so much more. Tires, fuel, positioning of the truck, especially when you're going full flat. You want to make sure that you can maintain that speed constantly if you can, utilising the draft in front. There's a lot of things involved, and these guys next Tuesday are going to have to think hard. They have got 150 laps of Bristol dirt, and these trucks aren't made to go on dirt, Mr. Sweeney.
No. I think that's going to be an interesting display, it must be said. Very fun, don't get me wrong, very different. But it's definitely going to be telling of the separation between the good versus the great. Also very chaotic. When you throw things like that into the mix, it's either going to be the best race of the season or the worst for 2 very different reasons.
I agree. I think that's the thing. It's going to be a different race altogether next week. Tune in for that one, as they will be live at about 5 to 9 in the evening. So stay tuned for that one. We're coming into the final 11. Michel's breaking away out in front. He's opened up 410. Stitchbury's in there. Grosso's in there. Then we go to 1.8. We've got Kazar and Walls trying to work together with Sack in the meantime. He's trying to play catch up. Burrows, Seaborn, Carl Jacklett. Then we've got McIntosh, who's a couple of laps down, staying in here purely because of the point situation. They will score some nice points, but you can see Kazar and Walls have been very consistent, haven't they? They've lined up in a line and they've stayed there and close with each other.
Yeah, right, and that's just what they need to do. Like, we've been touching on it all the race long. It's nothing special. It's just racecraft. It's not taking too many risks. It's working together. It's using that mutual benefit to go and chase that mutual gain, right? So they can use each other. They can have a cooperative pairing because it mutually benefits both of them. It's not like the 21 of Kassar or even the 69 behind or whatever it is are sort of hampering each other by working together. Both of them are getting a good deal. They're both progressing in this race. They're both saving tyres, both saving fuel, both being in the mix for the race lead. There is something for both to gain, but at some point that friendship, that relationship, that partnership has to end because both of them want to finish in front of the other one.
I think that's the thing. That friendship, you find a teammate. You see it in real world as well. All the Fords will go into pits together. All the Chevys will go in. They will signal to each other, look, I'm going to go in. You see the hand signs going on in the cockpit that they're going to be waving, pointing towards the pit lane this time around. But once you come down to the line at last 5, game over. There's no friends after the last 5 laps. It's literally all for one for all, and they do literally go after each other. We're coming into the final 7 here. Damichel out in front by half a second. Grosso second, half a second over Stitchbury. They got 2 seconds over Kazar, Sack and Walls. Burrows a further second back from that. Seaborn 1 second back. Jacklett nearly touching 3, just not having a good race in his Toyota this time around. The man from Bournemouth in the UK, as you can see there on the bottom left. Dan Michel's looks quite very consistent. He's very fast. He looks like he's going out and he's going to wrap this win up here with 6 to go. But can he be challenged within the last 6, do we think? Can Grosso get close enough?
Easily. I mean, it gets to a point where you're like, okay, how much tyre have I got left? Okay, the tyres feel good, I can push on them a bit more. Then you start sort of being a little bit more brave through corners, rolling the car in a bit more. He's also within half a second, which is probably just about still within slipstream range. You're still definitely feeling it. Of course, Mikel, we know, has been the benchmark standard for this race. He's been, head and shoulders above the rest when it comes to conserving the tyres, and of course with sort of maintaining that pace as well, saving the tyres versus how much pace you lose. He's been at the better ratio of that side. But Grosso, now we're into this final stage of the race where things really do start to matter. He's then able to potentially, of course we'll find out, just give it some more beats. Be a bit brave going in, be a bit more brave coming out, be a bit more aggressive, because the longevity of the tyres matters less and less the closer to the finish you get.
Wow, are they 0xing umping around there? I stand so corrected that they actually racking up those hits. This track just seemed so small. It is doable. It is doable, Howie, and I think, as you saw with Stitchbury right up the back there as well, there was obviously Levi Walls at one point was literally nearly attached to the back of Danny Kazar. It is doable. You've just got to be in that right place, right time moment. And as we're coming into the final 3, because Dan Michel out in front by nearly a second. Grosso has got a bit of a lead over Stitchbury, nearly 1.1 seconds. Kazar's got 2 behind that, with Sack tucked up right behind him. It's going to be very, very tough here. It's going to be. I don't think anybody's going to catch Dan Michel over the next 2 laps.
I don't think so. It's going to be difficult. Unless he makes a mistake, there's no catching him, right? I mean, he's lapping his way through traffic now. He's got some good pace. He's in a good rhythm. He's got 1 lap left to go, and that's all he needs. I mean, not only would Grosso have to catch it, then have to pass, and again, it's doable, But if Mikel can just keep himself calm and composed like he's been doing for the last 70 laps or 69 laps, he's going to be fine.
Yeah, white flag. We're on to the white flag lap, the final one here. Before we go over to check, and Dan Michel's going to wrap up this victory here. I can't see anybody getting close to him. Grosso behind. Stitchbury's going to come over the line in third. I just don't think he's quite got it here around the final turn 3. We go. Dan Michel is going to come over the line. He's going to take a win in the Vegas Shuffle. Over the line he goes. Dan Michel is your victor. John Grosso second. Ewan Stitchbury in third. Then we've got Gary Sack in fourth. Danny Kazar in fifth. Howie Burrows comes over in sixth place, up 4 places. Levi Walls down 2 in seventh. Seaborn comes over the line in eighth. Carl Jackalett wrapping up the ninth. And then the final one is 3 laps down is Mr. Jamie McIntosh there as well. Great race from these guys to keep it practically green all the way through, apart from obviously that one caution we did have, the 2 stage breaks as well. Always tough when you're driving like this in this scenario, isn't it? And I think, you know, the likes of Dan Michel, John Grosso, Ewan Stitchbury can all take a bow because they've done a great job.
Yeah, I mean, it's fantastic. You know, we see it all the time. And over racing NASCAR gets the biggest end of the stick when it comes to crash montages and poor driving and things like that. It's sim racing and in real life. You get the drivers that have those last lap crashes, the big incidents, the big crashes, and they always end up on those compilations. But these guys did a really good job. Things are going to happen. They're racing around at 180 miles an hour in, like I said earlier, trucks that are not designed to stop, trucks that are not really designed to change direction. They are designed to put your foot to the floor, turn left every couple of seconds, and go as fast as possible. So when things do go wrong, typically they do go really wrong. You're never too far away from a barrier or an infield, and I think we did really good to have 9 drivers finish on the lead lap.
Yeah, I do agree. There are the final results. Dan Michel out in first place, John Grosso second, Ewan Stitchbury third, Gary Sack in fourth, Danny Kazar fifth, Howie Burrows in sixth, Levi Walls seventh, Pat Seaborn eighth, Carl Jackalett in ninth, with Jamie McIntosh rounding it off there as well. That's going to bring this one to an end there, guys. This was run last week. We have just brought you the replay file from last week. Hope you've enjoyed it. Join us next week as we are heading to Bristol Dirt. Trucks at Bristol Dirt. They're not made for Bristol Dirt, so stay tuned for that one. It's going to be absolutely amazing. But I've been James Parfitt. I've been alongside Zach Sweeney here this evening, and as always, guys, take care. Have a great week, and you never know, we might see you on a track sometime. Good night.